Here David is in a precarious position because the Bible begins to blow our minds here now, because now these men that David were connected to, these men that David had poured into, these men that David had spent time with, these men, yes, that David had shared things with, these men that David had loved on and had lived with, these men that David had decided that he was going to hook up, these same men are now talking about destroying David. They're now talking about killing David. They're now talking about taking David out. And I want to tell you something. If I would have been like David, or if I would have been living back in David's day, I probably would have told about 200 of the 600 brothers. I would have probably called a meeting, and I would have grabbed about 200 of them, and I would have told them my story. Yes, I would have looked at them and I would have said, listen, y'all know who I am. Y'all know my name is David, and you all know my story. You know that there was a time when I was just chilling out in the field. Y'all, I was just hanging out there doing my own thing, and my father was in the house with my 7 other brothers, and how the prophet Samuel came by my daddy's crib, and how he went by 1, 2, 3, yes, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my brothers, and after looking at all of them, he didn't see none of them, and none of them were the type that would be anointed to be king. Y'all know that I was the one that was hanging out in the field. Y'all know that I was the one that was dirty. Y'all know that I was the one that was messed up. I was the one that was thrown out. I was the misfit of the family, and somehow, some way, when I was out there minding my own business, they came out to the field and they got me. And you all know that one day that I'm going to be the king of all of Israel. If I was this man by the name of David, I probably would have told them, if y'all stick with me, I promise you that when I come into my kingdom, I'm gonna make sure I hook you up. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. That's probably how I would have dealt with it. But the Bible begins to blow my mind here now, because I don't see nowhere in the text where David tried to find people that would stand with him in the midst of his trouble. I don't see nowhere in the text where David tried to find people that would stand with him in the midst of his trouble. I don't see nowhere in the text where David tried to find folk that he could manipulate to be on his side in the midst of his heartache. But the Bible begins to tell me that David did something extremely different. And I begin to talk to my God, and I begin to ask God, why in the world didn't David try to find somebody that would stand with him in the midst of his trouble? Can I tell y'all what God told me? He said the reason why David didn't try to find nobody that would stand with him in the midst of his trouble, because David understood something that many of us don't understand. David understood that there was no way possible that he was going to find encouragement from people that was going through the same thing he was going through. And because he couldn't find no encouragement from the people that he was hanging with, David had to make a decision. He said, I can stay here and complain just like the rest of these brothers, or I can get up from this and go and encourage myself. God told me to tell 2 or 3 of y'all. He said, when you get in the midst of your heartache, when you get in the midst of your trouble, when you're going through a crazy situation, stop trying to find people that will pat you on your back and tell you things are going to get better. You need to make up in your mind that I'm not looking to another individual. I'm not trying to find nobody, because the more I look around, the worse my situation seems to get. But I made up in my mind that if I can't find nobody that will tell me things are gonna get better, I will just make up in my mind I'm going to encourage myself. Touch somebody and tell them, say, neighbor, don't know what you're going through, but I stopped by here to tell you that if you're ready to come out, you don't need nobody to tell you things gonna get better, but just get by yourself and encourage yourself. Touch somebody and say, neighbor, I know you're going through a hard time, but what you need is within your mouth. I wish I had a witness up in here. Touch somebody and say, neighbor, neighbor, I know you feel like giving up, but what you need is within your mouth. If you need a breakthrough, say, I'm coming out of this. If you need deliverance, say, I'm coming out of this. If you need a way out, say, I'm coming out of this. If you're looking for a breakthrough, declare your breakthrough. But make up in your mind, I'm not gonna wait until you tell me that things are gonna get better. I'm gonna tell myself, is there anybody here made up in your mind? I sometimes feel like giving up, but I know that my God is able. You know he's able. I said, ain't he able to make a way out of nowhere? Ain't he able to open up doors? Ain't he able to deliver you out of your trouble? Tell yourself, I'm not going out like no sucker. I'm not going out like no joker. Because if God be for me, he's more than the world against me. Touch somebody, say, neighbor, you got to talk to yourself. You got to tell yourself it's gonna get better. Tell yourself, I'm coming out of my trouble. I'm coming out of my trial. I'm coming out of my heartache. I'm not no victim, but I'm walking in victory. I'm walking in deliverance. I'm walking in a new way. Say yeah, yeah. Lord. Look at the person next to you and say, neighbor, oh neighbor, you gotta talk to yourself until things get better. Say, neighbor, oh neighbor, you gotta talk to yourself until you come out your trouble.